like fresh tarred pavement. We're all about community here. That was 3 years ago. Now, she stood on my porch with a clipboard and a backhoe idling in my driveway, its steel bucket glinting under the noon sun like a threat. "Final notice, Elias," she said, tapping her pen against the paper. 72 hours to comply with the beautification agreement or vacate the non-conforming structure. I didn't flinch. This structure is my home. I built it with my wife, board by board. Karen sighed, the way you might scold a dog for pissing on hydrangeas. Your sentimental attachment doesn't override zoning laws. The southeast wing extends into protected green space. Behind her, 2 men in matching polo shirts shifted their weight. One held a tablet displaying a satellite image of my property with angry red lines drawn where my bedroom should be. Liam, my 16-year-old, stepped out behind me, phone in hand. "You're kidding, right?" Karen's gaze flicked to him. "This doesn't concern you, young man." "The hell it doesn't." His thumb hovered over his screen. "You're literally here to bulldoze my house." "Section of your house," clipboard guy corrected. I felt it then, the shift. The moment a bureaucrat's smirk becomes a declaration of war. I reached into my jacket and unfolded the brittle, coffee-stained deed my grandfather left me. "Read the 3rd paragraph. Then tell me who's non-conforming." Karen's smile didn't waver, but her left eye, just the left, twitched. That night, I pulled the lockbox from beneath the floorboards. Liam hovered in the doorway, arms crossed. "They're not really going to do it, are they?" I pried open the rusted latch. Inside lay 30 years of history. Survey maps, permit signed in my wife's looping script, the original land grant from 1947, with its wax seal still intact. "Here." I slapped a faded blueprint onto the table. "See this dotted line? That's the old creek bed. Their protected green space was a mosquito breeding ground until they paved it for their dog park." Liam traced the yellowed paper. "So they rewrote the maps." Worse. I unfolded a newer document stamped zoning overlay amendment. They buried the old maps. This annexation never went through public review. A shadow passed the window. We both froze. Outside, a flashlight beam swept across the tree line. Not a neighbor. Not wildlife. The beam paused, directly over the foundation stones my wife and I had laid ourselves. Liam's breath hitched. "They're casing the place." I killed the lights. "Get the trail cams." As he ducked into the closet, my fingers closed around the most damning paper of all, a 1998 utility easement agreement, signed by Karen's predecessor, violated by Karen's renovations. And, if the dates were right, about to make her entire HOA homeless. Robert showed up at dawn with a casserole. It reeked of guilt and store-bought Rotel. "Thought you could use a hot meal," he said, avoiding my eyes as he set the dish on the counter. The foil crinkled like a bad punchline. I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "You here as my friend? Or their spy?" His shoulders hunched. "They told me you were stockpiling weapons, that you'd gone off-grid, yet you brought tater-tot hot dish to a madman's bunker." A beat. Then, "They have Liam's school records, Elias." Robert's voice dropped. "Karen's husband is on the school board. They're digging for leverage." The coffee maker gurgled. Somewhere upstairs, Liam's shower turned on. I studied Robert's face, the crow's feet from all those years laughing around our campfire, now deepened into trenches of regret. "Look me in the eye," I said softly, "and tell me you didn't show them where we buried the generator." His silence was answer enough. I opened the oven, slid the casserole inside, and set it to broil. The foil blackened instantly. "Tell Karen something for me," I said as smoke curled toward the detector. "She wants war? She just woke the wrong damn bear." The courthouse smelled like floor wax and lost causes. I bypassed Karen's pet judge, poker night Thursdays according to Robert, and went straight to the records dungeon, where a clerk named Marjorie still used a microfiche reader and kept peppermints in her desk. Elias Thorne. She peered over her bifocals. "Last time you were here, you filed that restraining order against the Jehovah's Witnesses." Different fight. I slid a thumb drive across the counter. "Need these stamped and sealed before noon." Marjorie plugged it in. Her eyebrows climbed as she read. Exhibit A, HOA meeting minutes proving Karen voted to disregard my property lines. Exhibit B, security footage of a backhoe incident. Exhibit C, a notarized affidavit from the original surveyor. But the crown jewel? A scanned page from Karen's own ledger, showing $12,000 in landscaping fees paid to her brother-in-law's company for work never done. Marjorie whistled. You know this'll cost her the presidency. I tucked the stamped copies into my bag. That's the start. Outside, rain sheeted across the parking lot. My phone buzzed, a text from Liam. Power's out again. Cameras caught someone at the transformer. I smiled. Perfect. Let them think they'd won. Tomorrow's headline would taste even sweeter. The morning the Mountain Ledger hit doorsteps, the rain finally stopped. I watched from my porch as Mrs. Delaney across the street unfolded her paper, squinted at the front page, and immediately spit out her tea. The headline screamed, HOA President's $12,000 landscaping scam. Documents prove fraud. Below it, Greg Hill's byline ran alongside a photo of Karen's ledger, her brother-in-law's invoice, and side-by-side shots of a landscaped area. Still a patch of weeds. My phone started vibrating before I'd finished my coffee. First call, Jeff Parker, my lawyer. They're already filing defamation suits. Against who? I sipped my coffee. The truth. Second call, Samuel Knox. Karen scrambling. Board members are demanding emergency meetings. One just resigned. Third call, a block number. When I answered, there was only breathing, then the click of a hang-up. Liam came out, still groggy, and nearly tripped over the package at our doorstep. No postage. No return address. Just our name scrawled in shaky Sharpie. Inside, a single HOA violation notice from 2003 for excessive bird feeders. Liam turned it over. On the back, someone had written in pencil, they know about the shed. We didn't wait for dark. By sunset, Liam and I had moved everything critical from the shed. The trail cam hard drives, the original land surveys, my wife's journals, into the hidden compartment beneath the cabin's floorboards. The one we'd built after the first break-in. You think they'll actually? The motion light flared. We froze. Outside, shadows darted between the pines. Not cops. Not reporters. 3 figures in dark windbreakers, moving with the rehearsed precision of people who'd done this before. Liam's hand found mine in the dark. They're heading for the shed. I squeezed back. Right on schedule. The first intruder jimmied the padlock in under 10 seconds. The second swept a flashlight across the empty shelves. The third, taller, broader, kicked over a paint can in frustration. Then headlights sliced through the trees. A sheriff's cruiser rolled up, spotlight blazing. The intruders bolted like roaches. Deputy Alvarez stepped out, chewing gum, and shone his mag light on the shed's broken latch. Heard your alarm call. I hadn't made one. He nodded toward the tree line where the runners had vanished. Those weren't just HOA lackeys. That was Karen's brother with the bolt cutters. Liam inhaled sharply. Alvarez spat his gum into the dirt. You got him by the balls now, Elias. But cornered animals bite hardest. As his taillights faded, I checked the trail cam feed on my phone. Clear shot of Karen's brother. Clear shot of his bolt cutters. And, just visible in his back pocket, a folded map with my floor plan circled in red. The courthouse was closed on Sundays. The Mountain Ledger wasn't. Greg Hill met me in the parking lot with 2 coffees and a grin. Tell me you brought fireworks. I handed him the thumb drive. Security footage. Plus this. He plugged it into his laptop. The screen showed Karen's brother rifling through my shed, then pulling something from his jacket. A Ziploc bag. White powder inside. Greg whistled. They were going to plant drugs. Worse. I zoomed in. Look at the label. The baggie had a pharmacy sticker. Liam's name. His old ADHD meds, from the prescription Karen's husband had access to as school board chair. Greg smiled-eyed. They were going to frame your kid. I stared at the frozen image, the careful way Karen's brother had placed the bag on my workbench, like setting a mousetrap. Run the story at noon, I said softly, right when church lets out. By 12:17 p.m., Karen's phone was burning up. Liam refreshed the Ledger's website every 30 seconds, narrating the comments. HOA president's family caught planting evidence. My kid goes to that school. Someone called the state police. At 12:43, the first news van arrived at Karen's McMansion. At 1:22, the school board announced an emergency audit of all student medical records. At 2:05, Karen's husband resigned. And at 3:17 p.m., just as the autumn sun gilded the cabin's porch, a black sedan pulled into my driveway. Karen stepped out. No clipboard. No sunglasses. Just a manila envelope clutched in her shaking hands. She didn't make it to the steps before her knees gave out. The envelope contained 3 things. A resignation letter, signed and notarized. A check for $18,742, back rent, for the HOA office land. A handwritten note. They made me do it. No signature. Just a smear of lipstick at the bottom, like a bloodstain. Liam frowned. Who's they? I unfolded the last page, a photocopy of a contract between Harmony Ridge HOA and something called Green Valley Development LLC. The signature block made my stomach drop. Every board member had signed, including Robert, dated 6 months before they came for my cabin. Liam's voice was very small. This wasn't about rules, was it? I stared at the document, at the dollar amounts next to each name. Robert's cut, $15,000. Karen's, $50,000. All contingent on vacating non-conforming structures to make room for a new golf resort. Our cabin was never the target. We were just the first domino. I reached for my keys. Where are we going? Liam asked. To pay Robert a visit. The engine roared to life. Somewhere in the valley, a backhoe started up too. The tires of my truck spat gravel as we skidded to a stop outside Robert's farmhouse. The porch light was off, but the glow of a television pulsed behind drawn curtains. Liam's fingers dug into the dashboard. What's the play? I killed the engine. We asked nicely first. Robert opened the door before I could knock. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, stubble gray under the flickering bulb, shirt stained with what smelled like bourbon. His eyes flicked to Liam, then back to me. You saw the contract. It wasn't a question. I stepped inside without waiting for an invite. The living room was a war zone of empty bottles and stacked moving boxes. A half-packed duffel bag gaped on the couch. Going somewhere. I picked up a framed photo from a coffee table, Robert, my wife, and me standing in front of the cabin's freshly laid foundation. The glass was cracked. He lunged for it. It's not what you... I threw it against the brick fireplace. The frame shattered. Liam flinched. Robert didn't. For the first time in 20 years, I saw the man I'd fought alongside in Afghanistan. The cold calculation as he weighed the distance between us, the exits, the letter opener glinting on his desk. You took their money, I said. He exhaled through his nose. I took Karen's money, not Green Valley's. The distinction hung in the air like gunpowder. Liam edged toward the kitchen. You're saying there's a difference? Robert's laugh was hollow. Karen was middle management. The developer's the one who wanted you gone. They've been buying up every parcel around the proposed resort site. He tapped a map on the wall, dozens of red pins marking properties. 3 blue pins stood apart. Our cabin, Robert's farm, and a third plot deep in the pines, unmarked on county maps. I recognized the terrain. The old ranger station. Bingo. Robert yanked open a desk drawer and tossed me a burner phone. Check the last call. The screen showed one outgoing number, unlisted, and a 47-second call logged at 3:02 a.m. 2 nights ago. I hit redial. A robotic voice answered. Green Valley Holdings. Office hours are. Robert snatched it back. They pressured Karen to target you first because your deed was the only one that could block their access road. When you fought back, they ordered her to escalate. The CPS call? The planted pills? That wasn't her idea. Liam's voice cracked. You knew, and you didn't. Watch your tone, kid. Robert's glare could have melted steel. I'm the one who tipped the deputy about the break-in. I'm the one who leaked the ledger to Samuel. He stabbed a finger at the map. And I'm the only reason you're not already buried under that backhoe. The grandfather clock ticked in the hallway. Outside, an owl screamed. I studied the blue pin marking the ranger station. Who owns it now? Robert's smile didn't reach his eyes. Funny story. The LLC that bought it? Same mailing address as Green Valley's corporate office. He tossed me a key. Might want to take a look before they torch the records. The key was cold in my palm. Liam grabbed my arm. Dad. I was already moving. At the door, Robert called out, Elias. I turned. He held up the shattered photo frame, the image of our younger selves still intact beneath the broken glass. They have security. Military grade. I pocketed the key. So do I. Midnight. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones and whispers, turn back. Liam and I crouched at the tree line, watching the silhouette of the old ranger station through night vision binoculars. No lights. No cars. Just a single-story log structure rotting into the forest floor, its porch sagging like a broken spine. Military-grade security my ass, Liam muttered, adjusting his gloves. I swept the beam of my tactical flashlight across the tree line. The glint of glass lenses winked back. Motion sensors, I said. See the spacing? Every 15 feet. Professional install. Liam froze. That's not HOA budget. No, that's Blackwater budget. We moved low and fast, sticking to the blind spots between sensors. The key Robert gave us turned smoothly in the lock. Too smoothly for a disused building. The smell hit first. Not mildew or animal piss. Lemon disinfectant and fresh printer ink. Liam gagged. What the hell? I flicked on the lights. The interior wasn't decaying wood and cobwebs. It was a command center. Banks of monitors showing live feeds of our cabin, Karen's house, the HOA office. A map of the valley dominated one wall, studded with color-coded pins. Blue for acquired, red for pending, and 3 black pins. Our addresses. Liam paled. They've been watching everything. I traced the cables from the monitors to a heavy-duty server humming in the corner. The logo on the side made my stomach drop. Green Valley Holdings. Asset Protection Division. This isn't about a golf resort. I yanked open a filing cabinet. Look, deeds, tax records, and a folder labeled Thorn thicker than my fist. Liam pulled out a grainy photo, me and my wife at the county fair, 2 weeks before her diagnosis. Someone had drawn a red X over her face. A branch snapped outside. We spun. The monitors flickered simultaneously, each screen flashing unauthorized access detected in bold red letters. Then the lights died. A voice rasped from the darkness. You should have taken the money, Elias. The muzzle flash lit up Robert's face for half a second, just long enough to see the pistol in his shaking hands. The gunshot cracked the air like a whip, which splintered 6 inches above my head as I tackled Liam behind the server rack. Hot brass clattered across the floorboards. Robert's voice came from the doorway, ragged. They're in the trees, Elias. Go now. A second shot shattered the monitor, showing our cabin's feed. Glass rained down as floodlights erupted outside, turning the forest into a stark black and white nightmare. Shadows moved between the pines, too many, too coordinated. Liam's breath came in short bursts. He's shooting past us. I risked a glance. Robert stood braced against the doorframe, his hunting pistol aimed at the tree line. His left sleeve was dark with blood. A muzzle flash answered from the woods. Robert grunted as the window beside him exploded inward. Server, he barked. The hard drive. A bullet punched through his thigh. He went down hard. I moved. The server's casing came off with 2 twisted screws. Inside, a black hard drive blinked steadily, not the stock equipment, but a military-grade data vault with a biometric lock. Liam dragged Robert behind cover as another volley peppered the walls. Who the hell are these guys? Mercs. Robert gasped, fumbling in his pocket. Green Valley's cleanup crew. He tossed me a silver keycard. Left pocket. Thumbprint scanner. The gunfire stopped. A voice amplified by a bullhorn boomed from the tree line. Last chance, Thorn. Walk out with your hands empty, we burn the files. Liam's fingers dug into my arm. They don't know we found the drive. Robert coughed, red bubbles forming on his lips. Take it to Marjorie at the courthouse. She'll know. A shadow filled the broken window. I fired 3 times through the wall. The silhouette dropped. Robert grinned, teeth pink. Still quick, old man. The hard drive beeped as my thumb made contact. The screen flashed green. Decryption initiated. Outside, engines roared to life. The hard drive's files glowed on Marjorie's ancient courthouse monitor. Each document a grenade with a pin pulled. Land deed alterations, 2004 survey maps, doctored to shrink my property. Health Department complaints, 2017 falsified mold inspections, targeting elderly owners. Bank records. Karen's consulting fees from Green Valley, $8,000/month. Marjorie's fingers froze on the keyboard. Elias, this goes to the governor's office. A shadow moved in the hallway. I drew my pistol as the lights cut out. The cabin. They came at 3:17 a.m. Not with backhoes this time. Silenced rifles. Thermal scopes. A breaching charge vaporized the front door. They didn't expect. The punji pits Liam dug beneath the porch. The fire ant's nest rigged to drop from the eaves. The 12-gauge tripwires spaced between the birch trees. The first merc screamed when the ants hit his neck. The second fell silent when my round took his knee. The third made it to the porch, just in time for Liam to hit the sprinkler system. Pro tip: mix gasoline with well water. My Zippo arced through the dark. The aftermath. Dawn found us standing in the ashes of their operation. State police hauled away Karen in cuffs, her perfect hair smeared with soot. Reporters circled the wreckage of the ranger station, where investigators were already unearthing bodies. Liam pressed a cold Coke to his split lip. We won. I watched the smoke curl over the valley. No, I said, squeezing his shoulder. We survived. The cabin stood behind us, scorched, scarred, but unbroken. Just like us. End.